From the sharks always going the extra mile before backing entrepreneurs, to their stakes in businesses being their actual means of income, here's where the money invested in Shark Tank actually comes from. The show has been funding entrepreneurs for 14 years now, but even after all this time, people can't help but wonder whether the sharks are really investing their own money into the businesses that are pitched to them. The answer is yes and no. I'll explain what I mean in a second. First things first, the sharks are definitely writing their own checks when they agree to fund someone's business. It's not all some great big lie. Mark Cuban himself spilled the beans in an interview with The Long Shot, where he confirmed that the sharks aren't reimbursed or rewarded in any way for their investments. In fact, they often spend way more than what they earn from the show's salary. In fact, whenever there's a guest judge on the show and they like a pitch, they're always shocked when they find out they're going to have to invest their own money. According to Cuban, this same thing happened when basketball star Charles Barkley was one of the show's guest judges. When he entered the tank, he was absolutely shocked to find out that the money was going to come out of his pocket and not the production. But here's the thing, investing as a judge on Shark Tank works exactly like it does in real life. Sure, it might all look pretty fun, but this is a high-stakes game I'm talking about. Even the sharks themselves don't take it lightly. Striking a deal on the show may seem like a jackpot for entrepreneurs, but that's just the beginning of a wild roller coaster ride. Once the cameras stop rolling, the sharks and their teams kick into high gear to make sure that they're not being screwed over. They conduct their own due diligence to verify the information presented on the show just so their money isn't going into the wrong hands. Because let me tell you, you won't believe the stuff that's happened behind the scenes. Remember when Robert invested in Chord Buddy back in season 3? Developed by Travis Perry, Chord Buddy was an easy way for people to learn the guitar. In a single month, Travis had over $150,000 in sales, and he just needed one shark on his side to take it to the next level. After making a successful deal on air, Hrgovic asked the company for a financial statement, expecting a complete report with the company's income statement and audit information. But guess what showed up? A box filled with receipts. Yikes. I'm sure for a minute he thought it was a joke or something. But sadly, it wasn't. This is why the show had to tighten up the rules after that incident, making it mandatory for all companies to have their financials sorted out before diving into the tank. But guess what? The sharks still don't get their hands on that crucial information until after the show. No wonder only 50% of the deals that actually close go through. Yeah, no matter what happens on the show, not all deals made on the show actually go through. This actually serves as protection for the sharks, who have the option to back out of a deal if they feel like their values don't align with an investor or their business. So, roughly half of the deals offered on the show never see the light of day, and another 15% end up with different terms once the cameras stop rolling, but it gets even more scandalous. All the founders appearing on the show are bound by strict non-disclosure agreements. This means they can never spill the beans on what really goes down behind the scenes. But what I can tell you is that the show isn't as spontaneous as it looks. Pitches are actually filmed months, and sometimes even more than a year before they even hit the TV screens. But the shocking part? Some entrepreneurs have claimed that they were actually coerced into accepting deals or risk their pitches never being aired at all. And this isn't just me talking, because Cuban's gone on the record to confirm this as well, saying that not all pitches on the show are about the money. Because some entrepreneurs are only looking for the Shark Tank effect. That's right, not everyone who lands a deal on the show actually wants an investor. Some people have admitted that they only went on the show for publicity, playing a game of cat and mouse with the sharks. Because guess what? At least 10 entrepreneurs have revealed that dropping the deal was a mutual decision between them and their shark. How's that for a plot twist? But don't be fooled, because sometimes the sharks themselves fail to live up to their promises. In fact, Barbara is the most likely to follow through with her handshake deals, closing the deal with 60% of the entrepreneurs she invests in. But others, like Daymond John, are known for changing the terms after filming. In fact, one entrepreneur opened up about their interaction with John, saying that the investor totally ghosted them after finalizing the deal on air. When the shark finally reached out to the founder after months, he completely changed the terms, leaving absolutely no room for negotiation. In the entrepreneur's own words, it was like talking to a loan shark, and the only time it felt like John really even wanted the deal was during that famous on-air handshake. But the horror stories don't end there. Exclusivity contracts add another layer of frustration for entrepreneurs. An entrepreneur went on the record to reveal that they weren't even allowed to explore other funding options, while the shark they made a deal with made up their mind about finalizing the whole thing. Without naming the shark, the entrepreneur talked about how the shark waited for years, doing nothing, while the business suffered because of no funding. But it's not uncommon for the sharks to leave entrepreneurs in the dark. One entrepreneur went back and forth with Lori for over a year, only to be repeatedly rebuffed until Lori finally walked away. According to many entrepreneurs, it's like the sharks find excuses not to make it happen, giving them no explanations for their decisions. But things used to be way worse back in the day. In the early seasons of the show, entrepreneurs had to give up equity or royalties just to appear on the show. That's right, you guys. Every business wanting to make it to the tank had to provide the production company with some percentage of their operating income, or a whopping 5% of equity. If you ask me, that's really not fair. But thankfully, Mark Cuban stepped in to save the day, convincing the producers to end the policy. In fact, the shark straight up told the producers that he wasn't going to be part of the show if this is how things were going to be. The reason was that he felt like this policy discouraged entrepreneurs from ever coming to the show. And what about Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary? While he does demand a hefty price for his expertise, he admits that he's hard on the entrepreneurs. Gotta love an honest man, right? But hey, according to O'Leary, it's all worth it, because he's a one-of-a-kind investor, taking people's businesses from 0 to 100. But for all the mentorship they offer, do the sharks even get anything by being on the show? Well, they do get a salary. But Mark Cuban's talked about how they end up investing more money into businesses. Back in the early days of the show, when it wasn't the mega success it is today, the sharks were earning big per episode. Leaked emails from the infamous Sony hack in 2014 revealed some juicy details about their salaries. Cuban, the maverick shark himself, was negotiating his contract at the time and was set to earn $30,000 per episode for Season 5, $31,200 for Season 6, and a whopping $32,488 for Season 7. Add that up for all the episodes per season, and you know that Mark was making some crazy money. But he wasn't the only one raking in the cash. The TV Guide annual industry report from 2014 spilled the beans on Kevin O'Leary's earnings, who was making around $30,000 per episode at the time. But here's where things get interesting. While the sharks do make a lot of money on the show, they don't just pocket all that cash. A huge portion of their earnings goes right back into the businesses they invest in. They use most of their hard-earned money to build businesses that can give them greater returns in the future. So think of it as a long-term move. And let's not forget about royalties and licensing fees. So if a product featured on this whole becomes a hit, the sharks can actually score a percentage of the profits. That's what I call a dream deal. So from the sharks' stakes in businesses being their actual means of income, to always going the extra mile before backing entrepreneurs, that's where the money invested in Shark Tank actually comes from.